We had a caller into us at 051 846 123 giving out about the neighbour saying, who's given out about the tractor driver, who she says they'd want to get a life and go away for themselves. Isn't it great he's in his 80s and still able to do it? I bet he or she wasn't as concerned when he was out in the snow doing his farm work. There. Oh, it's great to get some of these texts in. Another person saying, Damien, some of the texts that people are texting in are ridiculous. Do they not know what the situation is? They should know the rules. It's very straightforward and easy to understand. Stay at home unless you need to go out for food or work or medication. Go for a walk within 2 kilometres. How hard is it? It is particularly hard for those that are over 70. I just have a text in also from somebody who is going to have their birthday. Good morning. I won't be 70 until Saturday, but I'm staying in and miss all my family and grandchildren so much as I live on my own. I'm finding it very, very hard, but trying to get on with it. Time in the garden and doing some art will help it pass. We have to think of others. Stay safe. And that is from Anna. To Anna and you and everybody that is 70, coming close to 70 or over, we want to say we are with you in this. Karen Tompkins, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
Karen, speaking of time to do things, just now on RTE, they're starting their new series of, I suppose, school at home. And a lot of the children will be glued to the television sets this morning. Are your lads going to be doing a little bit of homework on the television or via the television?
Yeah, we're giving it a try this morning. So they're already down in the sitting room and Moontor Ray has opened up the session down there. It's nice, actually, Damien. I was just watching a few minutes of it before I took your call. It'll be interesting to see, though, because it's on for an hour. But what I'm dying to see is how they're going to maybe differentiate between first class right up to sixth class. Because already my 12-year-old is sitting there looking at it, not too impressed with the look on his face. And he said, this is really babyish. They're getting them to draw a map of the sitting room. And he said, well, I just go back upstairs and do my own work.
And it is a problem. I know broadcasters have this problem that you are going to have. It's like you hear about teachers of years ago when a two-teacher school, a teacher will have to teach everybody in the same class from second class up to sixth class. And it can be difficult, and I can see. So we'll see how it works. I suppose it will work for some children. It
will work for some. So it's an hour today, and then don't forget, if there's parents listening, what they do then later on is a kind of a catch-up, homeschool extra, and I think that's about 4:15. So they give you projects to do throughout the day, and then you can go back on later and see how others got on. So that's kind of a good little plug to it as well.
Yeah, in terms of time management then, if you have children in the house and they are watching television or doing something, you have a chance as an adult to go and do some sort of entertainment for yourself in terms of exercise. And there's so many celebrities out there that are offering these classes. Joe Wicks, I was watching him this morning. I did the 15-minute high-intensity workout with Joe Wicks. I was feckin' wrecked afterwards. I was wrecked. I haven't done it before. I just said I'll start on a Monday and see how it goes. David Walliams is doing stories a day. There's so much happening online. Can you give us a little bit of advice about some of those better Instagram or YouTube postings that are worth looking at?
The Joe Wicks one that you mentioned there is, I think he's brilliant. And even this morning, you might have noticed he's fractured his arm or his hand over the weekend. But he was still going, with all the exercises. Parents can do it, kids can do it. And I think he's very credible. It's very good quality. The video itself in his sitting room, he has issues with copyright over playing royalties, over playing artists' music, to get a bit of kind of pump and tunes going. But look, it's a great way to start the day for the whole family. And he seems like a really decent fella as well. Quality is a bit of an issue, Damien, for some celebrities who mean well and they want to offer their services free. And I'll give you one example is Steve Backshall. I have 2 boys and they loved, this guy does the Deadly series on BBC. So it's kind of like more modern Steve Irwin, who lost his life, obviously, the crocodile hunter and all of that. So Steve Backshall is really cool. He's a science teacher as well. So he last week decided he'd do a kind of a Joe Wicks on it. And he went on like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But the quality was woeful. It was really bad. And there was a lot of complaints about it. So maybe it's something he can try and work on and get better, because actually it's really engaging. It's a lot of stuff, especially for the lads. Spiders, insects, science, all that kind of stuff. David Walliams, you mentioned there. most kids, I think, I hate generalising, but I would say most kids love David Walliams and love his books. He's a massive bestseller. So he's done a really kind thing, and he has every morning, it's called the 11s Story Time with David Walliams. He's put up an audio podcast of a different story. And quality is fantastic. Obviously, he's got a home studio or he's in studio. And it's a lovely way for kids that maybe don't want to read, or they can read later in bed, or they can listen to it at the kitchen table, taking their little break from schoolwork. And that is brilliant. If you haven't, go on his website. Just Google David Walliams, go on his website. That one is particularly good. I really like that one. The other one, are you a fan of Carol Vorderman, Damien?
Yes, a long time since I've seen Carol now, and obviously she's taken on different forms of work.
Yes, indeed she has. And I didn't know she was doing this. The Maths Factor, it's called. Now, this is something, she didn't just introduce this during the COVID-19 lockdown.
She was doing it beforehand,
Yeah, she does this Maths Factor aimed at 4 to 12-year-olds. Now, generally, clever Carol, charges £2 a week to subscribe. So again, it's very clever, it's very interactive and age appropriate for different levels of learning. But now she's offering it for free. So if you have a kid who particularly likes maths and fast maths as well, who likes to be challenged, this is one for them. And Carol is an old pro. She's well able, presenting wise. So they would be the main ones. Oh, and if you have a child who's into music as well, Mylene Class from, what was her band, Liberty X, was it? She's got this Mylene's Music Class with a K, and it's lovely, and she has her two daughters helping her, and she's there at the clipboard, and she's kind of showing you all the different notes, and then they play a little tune. Now, it wouldn't be for beginners of music, so if your child is already getting lessons in an instrument and is possibly able to read music and understands music theory, basics or terminology, that's a nice one as well to check out. So there's a good bit on offer for children, absolutely, across the board. And the only thing I was looking for, Damien, for myself, I am just so bored of cooking dinners. Like, it seems to be the same old stuff every day. And I'm going to the freezer going, oh, what will I do with mince today? Woohoo! So I did come across this Michelin-starred chef. It's called Kitchen Quarantine.
Okay.
And basically, I don't know what it's Massimo something, he's Italian. And he's just giving you ideas of how to actually be a little bit more inventive, even with basic ingredients. And I think we could all do with a bit of that right now.
Well, okay, go on. Give us an example. What did you try to do as a Michelin star meal with a bit of mince? Go on.
Look, it's my basic stuff, Damien. I just added a bit of Worcester sauce into the spaghetti bolognese, gave it a great kick. No, I haven't actually tried anything yet, truth be told. There's an awful lot of pork chops going on in our house, using up stuff that's there. No, we're going to start this Michelin stuff tomorrow.
You found stuff at the back of the freezer you didn't know was there, and you're wondering, okay, is that 6 months out of date or 16 months out of date? I'm not sure, It's amazing what you can do with bird's eye potato waffles, that's all I'm saying. Karen Tompkins, mind yourself. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Damien.
Thanks, appreciate it. I know a lot of people that cleaned out the sheds over the weekend. A lot of people have been doing painting. One person is saying to me that their garden is the best kept garden in Ireland now. It's just phenomenal how well it's kept. There's only so much you can do in the garden. Other people texting in. Damien, could you please shed some light, please, on call centres, calling them self-essential employers? My daughter is a team leader in a complaints department for a UK-based mobile phone company, and it's not helping, or they are not being involved with any medical or frontline workers. They're not being given an option to work from home, despite many others being offered this. It's not suitable for her role. So a real difficult situation. Can you highlight what to do next? I've had quite a few people on about these matters. A health and safety officer said to me, contact the Health and Safety Authority, ask them to make a phone call first to the contact centre, if you can get through, and arrange for them to go and see, because the employers are obliged to put in a 2 metre distance. I know in certain companies, for example, I saw a piece about Virgin Media the other day, they have sent all their staff home and they're all working from home, and it's possible for them to do that. So that's some of the advice that has come into the programme. Good morning. My uncle is 75. He lives 8 miles outside of town, outside of Dungarvan. Can he go to the shops to get food? Yes, he can. Also dogs to feed. Can he travel? He's nobody to do it for him. Can I take the food to him? No, he can't go. If he's supposed to be over 75 years, if he's 75 years of age, he's supposed to be staying on his own. You can bring the food to him. That's the advice, Chris. You can bring the food to him. That is what has been told. Another texter in a rural part of Waterford, I think around the Kappa area. Would the doctor not think it's safe to go for a walk in the heart of the country? Can I go for a walk around the fields in my farm? Says the Kappa listener. I'm very fit. Thank you. Again, over 70s. You've heard the advice, and it's up to people to take that advice for what it is. The laws are such that they can't be enforced in that sense. The government can tell you and advise you, and they are being changed now. The Garda regulations are being upgraded so that there will be enforcement coming along. But at present, it's up to each individual to see how they're getting on. Just had an email in from Joe Conway, councillor out in Tramore. Distraught caller is 78 years of age, nursing his wife who's very ill with cancer. His washing machine is broken down. He does not know where he can source a repair. He'd need to buy a new one, but there is nowhere open. If there is a repair person, a plumber listening to this morning, could they contact us here in the studio to 051 872248 to see if they'd be able to help this man out. So he's a 78-year-old man. He may well be in the Tramore area, I'm not sure. This is an email in from Joe. He's nursing his wife who's very ill with cancer, and his washing machine has broken down. There's a very simple and hopefully important way that we can help that man and his situation. So if there's anybody out there, please contact Audrey, 051 872248. Stay with us. Now, in a second, I'm going to be talking to Karen Douglas, a performance coach, regarding those that may have lost their jobs as a result of this crisis. Advice and reassurance on this. So if you have any questions to Karen, text me, please, 083 3333 975, text or WhatsApp, or you can call 051 846 123. And finally, that call out I mentioned just before the ads about any plumbers that are out there that may be able to fix a washing machine, possibly in the Tramore area, please let us know. Another request in to 051 872248. Any chance, please, Damien, I know you're up to your eyes, but if you could mention if there's anyone out there that might have places available for emergency accommodation for some nurses. They have to leave home. We have only until tomorrow. My husband is working in Waterford Hospital. He's been on to TDs, and to be honest, there's not much support out there at present. If you can mention this, please. So that is regarding accommodation for some nurses. Morris's can help with the gentleman in question if they want to contact him. Dermot's been on from Morris's. Thanks very much, Dermot. We'll try and liaise with you on that. And a special shout out to the fantastic CIT nurses who are doing a vital job, especially at this time of year. That's from James and Cappoquin. Karen Douglas, good morning.
Good morning, Damien.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. How are you getting through this?
Well, it's chaotic, I suppose, in some sense, because, you know, you're changing your whole work environment from a quiet space to the mayhem of kids, dogs. We've got RTE school going on. I've got Office 365 with the teenager for junior cert, and then we've got trying to keep some semblance of normality when it comes to sort of your job or your career or, you know, the day-to-day, I suppose, which has changed enormously. So it's fun, it's very stressful, but look, you know, we're trying to manage as best we can. I'm sure like everybody else who's listening in, no different to anybody else.
Yeah. You run a very good service. I was looking at it, Career Solutions. That's KAREER, Career Solutions. And it's a coaching service for those that have lost their jobs, advice and reassurance. We've been getting so many questions and so many texts and comments in, like every radio station across the country, Karen. Specific questions regarding their own particular situation, whether it's got to do with social welfare, employment legislation, human resources matters. What would you say to people that need specific questions answered? Like, who do they ring? Who do they contact?
Yeah, I think there are lots of people with very, like you said, very individual circumstances, because really the difference now is, I mean, I was around when the last recession was there and I had a very similar service, and it was sort of like everybody was in the same boat. So, you had lots of people who had lost their jobs and they literally just signed on to social welfare. But this is a very different set of circumstances because some employers are still trying to keep going. They're topping up and making the payments or not making the extra payments. People are worried and people are in a state of fear and paralysis because we don't know how long this is going to go on for. So I suppose I was listening to Dr. Mark Rowe this morning. He was talking about, hope should be the overriding sense rather than the fear. And we have to have hope. But individually for people, I think really what I want to do is reach out and say, look, if you have an individual question, drop me a mail. It takes me 10 seconds to read an email. And if I can route it towards somebody that I know, I think for a lot of people it's to get a network together and say, okay, who can I talk to about that? Most people, particularly in my profession or anybody that's touched by this from an employment perspective, are really open to listening. Most people just want somebody to talk to. A lot of it is based on, yourself, a lot of that, the negative stuff that's been out there across social media. People become fearful and they start to believe it. And somebody just wants to know, okay, who's that person? I can just give them a quick ring. It might be 1 minute, 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And just to get that reassurance so that answer the question, everything's going to be okay. Or, look, I might not know the full answers, but I know somebody who does, and they're more than happy. And to create that network, the Chamber in town are doing a very good job of giving you access to different ranges of people. And that's really what I want to do and say, look, if we can't reach out and give that to, our own during this time, I saw how beneficial it was back in the recession. We are in a very different space, and I'm not downplaying it, that it was very different then, but we didn't have half the support the government have come to us with, so we do certainly have hope out there at the moment.
Yeah, we do, and that ties me in very nicely with a text I got a few minutes ago, somebody that uses Facebook a lot in the past few weeks. They say they notice a certain few people in particular sharing nothing but negative, false, frightening information. This can be very unhelpful. I believe there are people out there that are sharing negative information and we'd be better off without them, and this person unfriended them. So there are specific things you can do to make sure that the advice you're getting is the right advice.
Absolutely. So you go to the credible sources, and I really can't stress that. I've seen a lot of people across the social channels that are really whipping up a frenzy, and I think less is more. I know there's there's one particular service across one social channel I won't name, and they're in a sort of a HR space, and really it's causing more frenzy and more fear in the person, because they're saying, oh, I've now got 1,100 queries I'm getting, and that doesn't serve anybody. And I think, just hunker down, take the calls privately, but not whip people into that frenzy of fear, because when you have that, it's very hard to separate yourself and your own circumstances, because we all have very different circumstances now. And I really want to say, look, if somebody does want to ring me and just say, look, it's a very small query and, I'm qualified to answer some questions, and I can certainly pass you to somebody else.
That's the important thing, because a lot of people have been texting me privately and messaging me, and again, I've said quite specifically, I'm not going to give out any advice for things that I don't know. You just have to advise them who else can give that advice. How can people contact you, Karen?
So they can go to the website, careersolutions.ie. I'm across all the social channels as well. And if anybody's listening, a lot of people will know me from back, from years of doing this. So, talk to somebody else, ask for my number. I'm out there. There's lots. Just type it into the internet, it'll come up, and absolutely get in touch. Even if it's a chat or a friendly, word of advice, absolutely get in touch.
Super. Karen Douglas, Career Solutions. That's Kareer, Career Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us. To you and your family, mind yourself, Karen, okay?
Thanks, Damien. Same to you.
Thank you very much, Karen, for that. As I say, Morris has been on about that plumbing request a while ago. We also had a lovely text in from Michael Prendergast from Appliance Repairs in Carrick. He's been on as well. Fair play to you, Michael. So I think we're going to try and get people in touch with Joe and with that elderly, those couple in their 70s, and we will try and get that sorted, because if we can... The little we can do, if we can do that, that'll be something good for the day. Another text in. This is from Matty, and he said his heart is pounding as he texts this. Good morning, Damien. Can anyone help me with my query? I take care of 2 family members at the weekends. They have home care Monday to Friday, but family step in at the weekend. I'd have to travel 40 kilometres to do so. I'm wondering, am I allowed to travel? It's very distressing and causing a lot of anxiety and stress for them and for me. Matty, I was talking to a senior guard over the weekend, and my understanding is talk to the Gardaí first and see what they advise, because they may well be able to allow... There are certain compassionate, I suppose, instances where something like this can be dealt with. So talk to the Gardaí first and see what they have to say. Then you may well possibly be able to get a letter from the HSE, because I presume that this is a home care related matter which may well be agreed to by the HSE. So again, talk to them. People are willing to work with others to work things out. That is so, so important. Keep in touch, 083 3333 975. Now, keep your texts and calls coming in. I'm going to be talking to Francis Moynihan, Secretary of the Waterford branch of the Irish Kidney Association, in a second. Firstly, people are so good. Just a lovely text in there from Ian Lennon. Ian runs the Care and Repair Service, free home repairs for older people for Waterford Area Partnership, and says can help out with that man in Tramore with his washing machine. Ian, we will connect you through Audrey if we need to do that. Another man has phoned in to say, if they are within a 2-kilometre radius of the house at Church Road, I'd be happy to go and collect his washing machine and drop it back for him. Keep your texts and comments coming in. Damien, I've been ringing Virgin Media. My contract is up and need to renew it, but every time I ring, they say the sales department is closed. Has anybody any information and help they can give me on this? Could you please ask and explain, says this person, why all construction sites were ordered to close, even those with small numbers employed on them? Yes, some factories with 300 or 400 employees can continue to operate. I can understand essential ones, but non-essential ones are still open. Why is this the case? Another person saying, walking around my area in the St. Paul's parish around town, during the last couple of weeks, I noticed a lot of people using surgical gloves, but they throw them away. They don't even put them in the bins. Would you please ask people to put them in the bins? Now, good morning, Francis.
Good morning, Damien.
How are you keeping?
I'm very good, thank you.
You're Secretary, as I say, of the Waterford branch of the Irish Kidney Association. It is Organ Donation Awareness Week. It's still going on, even though we can't and you can't get out and about on the streets to talk to people about this. How are groups like yourselves, Francis, the Irish Kidney Association, how are you working and trying to highlight matters such as this, these type of weeks that are so important for you? Obviously coming on and giving a little bit of publicity with ourselves is one thing, but it must be very, very difficult to operate in the current climate, is it?
Yes, indeed, Damien. It's proven to be very difficult for us this year because we had a lot of events organised to take place during Organ Donor Awareness Week from the 26th last Saturday up until Saturday, April the 4th. In fact, today, just with you going into you in the studio, we were actually supposed to, my husband and I, go to do WIT, where they were going to do a full week of the sort of, we'll say, highlighting organ donor awareness for us. And unfortunately, that was cancelled. And we had an event organised in the Glen in Waterford. We were going to do a talk with some of the members of staff down there, and they were going to be promoting Organ Donor Awareness Week for us also. But unfortunately, that's cancelled. And that's just local level. Also, all the supermarkets like Aldi, SuperValu, Arkeen stores, that would be normal places where you would see people during the week. We would have our stands there, and we would be looking for people to just have the conversations at home, maybe donate something into the box, get maybe a flower or get some token from us. But all of that across the country has been cancelled, unfortunately, for us. So it's going to be quite challenging, as it has been for all charities at this time, to try and look at fundraising and different ways to fundraise. So what we've done in the Irish Kidney Association is we have looked at ways of getting people to donate by text. If they're to text 50300 and the word kidney, that donates €4 to the organisation. So that's one way we're looking at it. And the other way is if you're looking for donor cards, just to text donor, DONOR, to 50050 as well, just as ways of trying to promote, we'd say, the idea of organ donation at this very difficult time.
Everybody knows about the Irish Kidney Association, and you do great work in normal times. And there may be times out there now as well, because I suppose I was talking to another person about this, Francis, that because people are not necessarily thinking about these things, they're distracted with other matters. Now more than ever, you need to raise awareness on such issues.
Absolutely, Damien. I'd say most local newspapers around the country have at this stage been running, and probably this week are running, stories of people with their own local interest in it. Like my own story and my daughter's story, my husband and his sister. Our story would have been on the News and Star and also on the Munster Express and the local papers, the Garvan Leader and Observer. But really it's just about, for us, it's all about creating the conversation, because even though people have donor cards, at the end of the day, in these situations, you must get the consent of the family. So to let your family be aware of your wishes really is where we're at this time, and making people aware. Unfortunately, when it comes to donations, all charities this year are going to take a hit because of what's happening, and we appreciate that that's obviously the case. But if people are sitting at home and people have got their phones on hand and want to just make a quick donation of €4 to Kidney 50300, we would be most grateful.
OK, well, listen, keep up the great work, Frances, to you and everybody involved in the association. Mind yourselves, OK?
Thank you very much.
And call out that number again if people want to donate.
I will. It's Kidney, KIDNEY, and it's 50300. OK,
Frances Moynihan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Frances Moynihan there, Secretary of the Waterford branch of the Irish Kidney Association. A lot of people texting in. Here's a good one, actually. Damien, the traffic may be light on the city's roads, but will you remind people the speed limit is still the same? Motorists are not even stopping to give way at roundabouts. Some of them are driving straight through. Another person. I was going on a message shopping for an elderly man on Saturday. I turned to go into a shop, and a man started shouting at me about my social distance. I wasn't even near him. I had maintained the 2 metre distance, and I must say I got very upset about this. Again, there's an appeal to so many people and everybody at this difficult time. Just maintain your stress levels. Just take it easy. Just take a deep breath. Some of the advice that Patrick Frayne gives in the Irish Times is excellent regarding those that are feeling the stress issues. Ration news and social media. Stay in touch. Relish the small things, establish a new routine, stay healthy. Don't expect everyone to respond in the same way. People with existing diagnoses, again, understand where you're coming from. Watch for warning signs, look for any significant change in behaviour, and also talk to someone. Very, very important. And the HSE website has some really good numbers. The Samaritans are there as well, and we're going to be talking later in the week about other people that are in difficult situations about such matters. Damien, I can't understand the pro-choice people talking about what they're saying, and this person was talking about how difficult it is for those that are, I suppose, in the situation. Another person saying, I've a room in my house. If one of the nurses wants it, they are welcome to it, says this person. Maybe I missed it, but could you give a few mention, please, to mention religion at this time of the day? People can pray. It's a good time to do this. And also, I would love to hear more Mass on WLR. Damien, do the people who are gathering in groups realise that they're going to prolong the lockdown and increase the cost of the country? They're also putting on extra pressure on the medical services who are doing tremendous work. Good morning. I live in Tramore, and this morning a woman and a number of children called to a neighbour's house to say hello. My neighbour then proceeded to come out and have a chat. I actually despair. Some people can be very ignorant, says this person. Stay at home. Another texter, I just got stopped by the Gardaí coming back from the shop for my elderly father. The guard proceeded to nearly stick his head in the car window to ask me what I was doing. I totally understand, but this guard had absolutely no PPE, that's personal protection equipment, gear on him or around him, should they not be wearing masks or something to stop possibly transmitting a virus towards me. That is from a concerned citizen. Very good point. Good morning, Damien. Dunn's in Dungarvan had set up all hand sanitisers, hand trolley gloves, staff cleaning down checkouts and changing gloves. Some supermarkets are doing the same, but some aren't. Good morning, my NCT is cancelled. I had it booked for April the 1st. Do you know if I can still drive? My understanding is that the fact that they've cancelled the NCT does mean that you are still, your car is still NCT compliant. in that sense. You have it booked in for a test, but if the company that oversees the NCT through the government regulations has put a hold on that, you are still covered. But please double check that with the Gardaí. That's my understanding on that. Good morning, Damien. Some credit unions and other financial institutions have laid off staff, and some staff are working from home. It can be very, very difficult. Others asking, why are people actually going to credit unions? Are they not meant to be staying at home? Please, please, please observe the regulations. Coming up next, we have a very important topic. Good morning and welcome back to the programme, our last segment of the programme for this morning. As I said, thank you so much, everybody, for all your texts and comments. I'm going to be talking to Johnny O'Connor now, long-time established journalist in about, I suppose, how people are dealing with all this. If I don't get to all your texts and calls and all your messages, apologies, we'll deal with as many as possible. As I said, I'm not one of these people that gives out advice if I don't know stuff, so I'm not going to respond to people if I don't know some of the texts that are coming in. As somebody said, you'd want to have the patience of a saint. Johnny O'Connor, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Damien.
How are you keeping, Johnny?
Thank God, we're both well, yeah.
Yourself and your lovely wife, Marie, there. You're, I suppose, isolating at present, are you, Johnny?
Unfortunately.
And
in my head, I'm still somewhere in my 20s, but in reality, I'm of an age where I have to stay in.
Yeah, and I know you've been covering so many stories in Waterford over all those decades, and people know you as a long-time established journalist on the Munster Express, and also you do work with RTE, you do the regional, it says in the papers, and different matters. Johnny, you thought you were going to come on this morning to talk about how Waterford people are, I suppose, dealing with all this, but we have a special surprise for you, because you didn't know that I know that today is your 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, God. Yes, it is.
Now, there's a person here in studio that wants to say hello to you.
How are you, Dad?
Oh, Rob.
Well, how are you doing? Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you very much. Yep.
And
we're trying to keep that quiet.
And on the line, we have another person. Helen, good morning.
Oh, Jesus.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'd say that's the first time you've ever cursed on radio, Johnny.
Yeah, I know you want for this.
Rob contacted me last night and he said, could I just give a special mention to you, to yourself and your good wife, Mary, on your 50th wedding anniversary? And I just said, we'll do even better. We'll set you up with this now. Go on.
50 years, I've no idea where the time has gone, you know.
Is your good wife there, or is she working? I know she's...
she's somewhere in the house. I'd have to go find her now.
Tell her to come down to you now in a second. Rob, what have you got to say to Dad this morning? What did you plan for today, and how difficult has this been?
Well, we had a couple of plans in play, but they all started to change over the last few weeks because we just didn't know what was going to happen. But what we'd settled on was something relatively simple. We were all going to go for a meal together, the whole lot of us. So there's myself, my sister Helen, who's on the line, and my brother, and all of our families and the kids do something nice together with Mum and Dad. But obviously the kibosh got put on that with everything that has happened with the coronavirus. So this evening, my kids and I are making a meal for Mum and Dad. We're going to drop it over to them in the house, and the girls are baking away like Godot. I have an ingredients list that of extra things I have to get, and it won't be the same, but sure, look, it's still nice to be able to mark it.
Drinking as well.
Oh yes, exactly. Helen, you're up in Kilkenny. What have you got to say about all this?
Oh God, well sure, look, we'd love to be there. You know, we're missing Mum and Dad massively. You know, I have a 12-week-old baby at the minute and a 2-year-old, and I'm used to having Mum and Dad around to help me out with the two of those. So you know, we're really missing them, and I suppose this weekend, as I said, we'd planned. It's hard to get us all together. With me in Kilkenny and my brother up in Meath. So we planned to kind of get everyone together and get all the kids together. So I suppose it's hard. We had Dad's birthday last week and with Mother's Day we're missing a couple of things. But sure, look, we'll see each other soon and all will be okay.
And do you want to say a little special message to them now, Helen?
Oh God, well look, happy anniversary, Mum and Dad. We'd all only love to have a marriage like yours and be married for as long and as happy and as healthy for as long as The two of them are. They're the best people in the world, Mum and Dad. I know everyone says that about their parents, but I suppose Dad is probably laughing at me there now, saying, Jesus, Helen, shut up. But
we're grand.
And I'd like to offer...
I have to put up with, you know.
well, Dad, I think it's more what Mum has to put up with you.
I was just going to say, she's a saint. She's been beatified now. She is the patience of a saint, Johnny, to put up with you, I'll tell you.
I think so, yeah, I think so.
Johnny, isn't it lovely? And it just shows the importance of family, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But, you know, we were only talking about it the other night, and we're in no way smug. We're very lucky, and there's a huge... I know you have to do your own thing, but there's a huge amount of luck involved as well, and you know, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled for us, you know.
And have you found your wife there yet?
Yeah, she's here.
Here, put her on to me for a second.
Okay.
Hi, Damien. Marie here.
Good morning. Did you hear about the little surprise you did?
I've just read. I was listening on the radio in another room.
Well, Rob and Helen want to say hello to you.
How are you, Mum?
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Mum.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
Super great.
Yeah, I should.
How are you? Is more the question.
Look, I'm fine, and Dad is fine, and sure, at least the two of us are still talking to each other.
How are you getting through it? Do you have special code words if one of you gets a bit stressed, or do you go off into the other room, or what are you doing?
Well, Johnny has his room, which is his computer room and his music room. So he's been doing lots of singing and playing and a bit of recording.
Yes.
So hopefully at the end of this he'll have another CD out.
Oh, wow, lovely. Helen, do you want to say anything to Mammy?
oh God, sure, I'm talking to Mum all the time, and great thing for technology. And I suppose we keep saying how lucky you are, Mum, that you and Dad get along so well and that you have each other. You know, not everyone is as lucky. Yeah, sure, look, we love you very much, and sure, we'll see you again very soon, as we said.
Sure, look, that's great. And as Helen says, the modern technology is brilliant with FaceTime and everything.
It is. That's an interesting one, man, because I was just thinking there, like, I mean, in the space of 50 years from when you got married, I remember 20 years ago when I was in Australia on Christmas Day having to stand up on a table out the back to get enough mobile phone signal to actually talk to you. To now, here we are 20 years later, and we're doing conference video chats between families and friends all over the world. It's quite amazing, really, when you think about it.
Well, it is.
Even 10 years ago, Rob, you know, when I was in Australia, you know, we were barely Skyping, you know, so you're really looking at such a huge change for Mum and Dad.
50 years ago, when Johnny and I were first going out and I was in England, in London, our only means of communication was letter, which used to take the best part of 5 or 6 days to reach. And if I had a telephone, but he didn't, and I would have to write to him to arrange for him to be at the phone box in Ferrybank kind of in 2 weeks' time, and we had to hope that nobody else would be at the telephone box and we could speak for maybe a couple of minutes. And I had to ring the operator to get the number. I couldn't even dial the number.
That is wonderful.
So that'll tell you how much technology has come on.
To you and Johnny, happy 50th wedding anniversary. Maria Green has just phoned in to wish you happy birthday.
Oh, has she? Oh, listen, thank her so much. Herself and Freddie, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago. Yeah. They would have been very good friends of ours, and the four of us I remember driving to Youghal once for a box of matches, because Freddie had a car and we didn't. So, that'll tell you.
Listen, you can give out to Rob and Helen later on this, and I know Johnny was going red this morning. And you know what we're going to do now, especially for you? We were trying to think of songs that you might like, and I know one of your favourite songs is Neil Young, Harvest Moon. So this is especially for ye.
Oh, thank you so much, Damien. Listen, and it's all really... And listen, good luck to everybody. Everybody keep safe and follow the rules.
Very well said. I'll get Rob and Helen to talk to you later. Helen, you mind yourself. And
thanks, Damien.
To all the O'Connors, happy 50th wedding anniversary.
Hello.
Johnny, we're going to play Harvest Moon for you now. Listen, have a good day, and you can give out to Rob later, OK?
Yeah, listen, just can I say, hope is a great thing, and if people are feeling a bit down, just use their computers, use their phones. There's some wonderful poems. There was an American writer and poet called Emily Dickinson. She wrote a whole range of poems on the subject of hope, and they're worth sorting out.
That's very, very good advice. Rob, if anything
as well as that's what I do every morning. I say a little prayer for us all, and then I'm a great admirer of that philosopher, Father Jack. So I open the windows and I shout out, "Feck off virus," and hopefully that'll help as well.
And does anybody shout back to you, Johnny? No.
Oh yeah, there's most mornings in Avondale, you can hear the cries of "Feck off virus" from all the houses.
Have you started talking to the birds yet? No, there's some people saying they're talking to the trees and the birds and stuff like that. Have you done that yet?
Prince Charles and myself, for years we did that anyway, you know.
Rob, anything to say to Dad?
Not at all. No. Look, we'll see you later. Well, I'll see you from a distance later on. I'll leave a parcel on your doorstep and instructions on how to assemble it.
Yeah.
But Johnny, the very important message that yourself and your good wife have said, for anybody out there, and particularly anybody over the age of 70 that's cocooning, stay safe. It is going to be a difficult time. People are going through a lot of stress and strain, but we'll get through this.
It is, but it will pass. I mean, and people shouldn't underestimate the ingenuity of humankind. Even this morning, the Press Association were reporting that the Mercedes Formula One team, they've come up now with a thing called a continuous positive airway pressure. It's a small device, and it can keep people out of intensive care. And of course, if you're on a ventilation, it requires sedation and an invasive procedure. And with this little thing now, they produce 100 of them. They're being tested in hospitals in London at the moment.
Very good. Johnny, mind yourself too. Marie, mind yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. Happy anniversary.
Okay,
and this is
good luck and thanks.
This is Harvest Moon, especially for you, Johnny. So many texts coming in. The Dempsey family wishing them happy anniversary. Rebecca Deck and family worked with Johnny in the Munster. So many other people. Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you, Damien.
Thanks for coming in. Helen, you mind yourself, and thank you very much. And to all the O'Connors and everybody that's out there, anybody that's over the age of 70, this is especially for you this morning. Harvest Moon, Neil Young. Why don't we just get up and dance? I won't dance with you now, Rob, but everybody get up and dance. Johnny, I want you to grab your wife and dance around the sitting room. Here we go.